Welcome to the lecture Game Design and Game Development. In this part of the lecture, we will learn about the motivation for using personas and thus get to know an important perspective for avoiding self-referential design. To make it easier to find the relevant information later, we see the list of content here. In the lecture section on usability engineering, we learned about different ways and means of recording and collecting user data. But what do we do with all the information we have collected? As computer scientists, we have become familiar with classic use cases in the software development process in order to map actors and their relationships, for example through roles, with our systems. This is certainly important in order to be able to describe processes and their interaction internally. However, they reduce the user to their actions in the process and say nothing about the person's motivation, background, or decision-making process. In modern software development, however, we can no longer go to the customer with these use cases. The customer would certainly feel somewhat underrepresented, interchangeable, or arbitrary if we told him that he represents our stick figure as shown in the UML diagram. That's why it's important to understand from the very beginning that the customer plays the most important role in our project and that we need to represent them appropriately. That's why I designed this t-shirt with the message, "I am the user and not a stick figure." This brings us to the topic of this lecture. We want to understand personas as lead design objects and learn how to use them profitably for our applications. Let's start with a project. Let's imagine we want to develop an app for modern children's soccer. Parallel to the development, we think intensively about the target group and have already collected a lot of data for typical users. Using an example, we can see how it is possible to get away from the anonymity of a stick figure and switch to something personal with which a certain dialogue is possible. Here we see a so-called persona. It has a fictitious name, a few basic data and information that allow us to establish a connection to the project. Based on our research or the existing characteristics of the persona, we can create a personal connection, as in this example, to the modern children's soccer variant Funinio. We can go one step further and derive the wishes and characteristics an app should have in this context. This helps us to formulate a goal without losing sight of the user. Before we start creating our own personas, let's hear a few reasons for using them. In the reasons, it also becomes clear right away what we are aiming for and how personas can be created. A persona is abstract, represents facts and hypotheses that we have identified. A persona is a model of a person with demographic information, behavior, goals, intentions, and much more. Should also include motivation like, why does the person want to use the system? What makes the person not want to use it? How would the person use the system? What could the person do with the additional feature? A persona has a picture or photo, a name, affiliations, backgrounds, a social situation, dreams, hopes, and a story. It must be possible to be immersed in the persona, like, what is the person thinking or feeling? Developing empathy provides better results than looking at a generic solution. A persona must come alive. Empathy is the key to the success of innovative ideas and working design. Let's take a look at how personas can be created. We need a believable description of a specific user with clear objectives. This helps us pursue a specific design goal. Classically, 2 to 3 prototypical users are now created as personas. The profile information is prepared and filled with the information that we consider relevant for the use of our system. We are of course creating hypothetical users based on our gained assumptions. There are certain gaps we can't fill yet. We may try to fill these in further user stories or interviews later. So over time, we try to fill in the gaps with facts. However, we have to be a little careful here. Here there is the so-called average value trap, which we tend to fall into if we don't take a close look at the data. On the left we see the ideal case. Here we try to represent a group of people with similar characteristics by one persona. But it can also be the case that there are 2 or more clusters, as seen in the middle. If we now select only the mean value and use this as a persona, then this can lead to undesirable results. For example, this could be 2 clusters with different ages, very young and older. A mean value would then not correctly represent one group nor the other. On the right, we see how we should proceed in such situations. We need one persona per cluster, meaning one prototype. Once we have created personas, we want to link them to our product or our planned project as users in specific scenarios. In the next step, we need to derive these scenarios and ask ourselves how the user interacts with our product. These scenarios can now be described according to the level of detail. We can describe low-level scenarios that, for example, ask and play through general questions about accessing or purchasing the product, or high-level scenarios that describe specific specialized tasks in detail. We can also differentiate the personas we create thematically. Here we see 4 very typical personas that can help us in the development to ask the right questions to the system and progress. A primary persona. This is the person for whom the main design is made. If there is only one persona, it corresponds to the primary one. A secondary persona belongs not directly the target audience, but also need to be convinced for other reasons. A negative persona is a person for whom the system is definitely not developed. Useful in securing scenarios and for collecting arguments. A persona in a sub-role is not always a complete persona, but someone who has a decisive effect on a primary or secondary persona. Pause the video and think about which personas would be suitable for our example in the Funinio app. I have created another persona for the Funinio app project here. What do you think about the description? What type of persona do you think it is? Take some time to think about this too. This has given us an insight into the creation and use of personas. Here I would like to let a design expert have his say. Scott Clemmer is Professor of Cognitive Science and Computer Science and Engineering at UC San Diego. For him applies, ultimately, using persona, it's the design. After listening carefully to this lecture, answering the following comprehension question should help you to summarize the most important statements again on your own.